Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary, it's time for the podcaster who's here to help. You know, like I say, I see you and I want to help. And now, this podcast doesn't work for everybody, but I hope it can help you. I usually say that later on, but I'm saying it right at the top here because I want you to know that. So let's see how it goes. What do you say? It's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that hopefully will put you to sleep. Hey, everybody. Have you checked out our merch store lately? Because we've got a brand new tee in there. Bernie the Butterfly Nature Strikes Back t-shirt. You finally get your chance to wear Bernie the Butterfly around town. Show people, rock your Sleep With Me merch. Not only that, we have a wonderful sleep spray. We have custom Sleep With Me sleep phones. Some lovely tank tops and some sleep pants. Check them all out at sleepwithmepodcast.com/store. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/store. Get over there and share with me a picture and let me know my wording's off. But get over there, rock some Sleep With Me merch. Let me know about it so I can thank you. Sleepwithmepodcast.com/store. Hey, everybody, it's time for the Sleepy Supporter Zone. I wanted to thank Paula, who not only got some wonderful away luggage from our sponsor Away, but took it all the way to Jordan and then used to sleep with me to recover from some jet lag. So I want to thank Paula for supporting the show via Away. If you're ever wondering, you want to check out our sponsors, what the promo codes are, how to support the show, and how to join the Sleepy Supporter Zone, go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors to check them out. It keeps the show free for everybody. Thank you, Paula. And this is the end of the Sleepy Supporter Zone. Oh, Mystery Bard, a lot of people help out on this show. Who are they?
Chris Posty Poster Son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes too. Carl W. the Legend also edits episodes. Kenny, Scotty, and Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at JonathanMann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance to be part of Nine Veil Presents. So now on with the show.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. I'm at Dear Scooter on Twitter and Instagram. That's where you'll find me. And remember, a huge way to help the show is just to share your natural experience with the podcast. Word of mouth is how the podcast has always grown. I'd love it if you'd let one or two people know about the podcast, whether it's in your real life or your online life. Just share it with them naturally when it comes up. And if they're new to podcasts, just show them or let them know how to download a podcast app and subscribe. And for 6-7 years, you've been doing that for me, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And now, let's get on with the show. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. And what I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, changes in time or temperature, routine, whatever's keeping you awake. So it could be, thinking, feeling, experiencing. It could be travel or, changes in routine. Whatever is keeping you awake, I'd like to take your mind off of that. What I'm going to do is I have this nice safe place here. It's kind of a joint safe place, so if you're new, you're going to have to kind of see how it goes. But it's plenty of room. There's no shoulds. There's just a could on my end. Could I help put you to sleep? And I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. Creaky, dulcet tones. It's C-R-E-E-K-Y, I think. Or it could be I-E. Dulcet is D-U-L-C-E-T. Tones. But I think it's been a while since I've thought about creaky, dulcet tomes, which is a collection of books one day I'll be selling. It's the collection of books, we call it the creaky, dulcet tomes. When you want someone to know you're reading an ancient book, open up a creaky, dulcet tome. It makes that sound like you're opening a book of the ages, because it has like a thick cover, and it makes it sound like an old door opening. But it's a sweet, sweet book full of knowledge. If we, maybe, but if I'm in charge of it, it might be full of nonsense. And that's creaky, dulcet tomes. The books where you say, was like somewhere in the world, a librarian saying, did someone just open up an unabridged dictionary? Because that sounded like a creaky, dulcet tome to me being opened. So those will be available for purchase probably $20.75, I would say. Maybe I could work with one of those other companies that sell, they don't do that anymore. But like I said, when I was a child, you bought I was part, when they say, when did whatever that whole mass consumption or whatever the people call it, when did that happen? Or when did the commoditization of knowledge, because Scoots is selling creaky, dulcet tomes. And they say Scoots was born in a time when you bought your encyclopedias at the grocery store and you had to buy physical encyclopedias instead of being able to just search it. They say, that was the time. Or they say, what's up with Generation X? Well, they bought, when they wanted knowledge, they went to the grocery store. And so just so everybody knows, that's not in that age range above, wherever you are in the age range. When I was a kid, you would go to the grocery store. The same grocery stores are very similar, not that different. But for a while, I think there's different companies. My favorite, Funk and Wagnalls, because who doesn't like saying Funk and Wagnalls? That could be a good restaurant, I think. Come on down to Funk and Wagnalls. But so when I was a kid, you could buy really expensive dictionaries from or what are those things called, encyclopedias. And those weren't in it, or you could go to the library, which we used to do a lot. But if you wanted, I think there was two options for high-end encyclopedias. And again, I don't know, maybe I'll have to reach out to 99PI and see if they've, if this is interesting or not. I mean, it's interesting to me. But at some point, so there was two expensive, what's an encyclopedia? Great question. It's basically Wikipedia in a book, but not as I think you kind of know. It's like a dictionary for stuff. You'd say trebuchet. That's a great example. You'd say, okay, maybe that wasn't even in the encyclopedia, but that would be a good test to say, is trebuchet in this encyclopedia? It would probably say sea catapult and say, okay, good enough. But not everybody. So encyclopedias were not, they were expensive. So this other company, Funk and Wagnalls, according to my history, which is just based on going to the grocery store with my mom, at some point at the grocery store, the big one, like in Syracuse, it was Wegmans or Price Chopper, or we had Price Chopper and PNC. Those are two different places, believe it or not. Or maybe it's Penny Saver. No, Penny Saver is something else. So those are in Syracuse, your options. Wegmans, Price Chopper. Those were our options. We didn't go to PNC. Nothing against it. That's just not, I think we do now, but it might be called something else. Just because that's the only grocery store where my parents live. But what was my, I think it's called Tops now. Anyway, so at the grocery store, they would have an encyclopedia. And I think it was like over 12 months you could buy like volume 1, A through C. And I think something like it would be super cheap, like $1.99 or something with the purchase of $50 worth of groceries. Or like, how did I get this far afield? I don't know how I did get this far afield, but it's just a part of my history. And I guess it was like, if you're new, that was like a built-in, that was an auto tangent. I honestly didn't see that one coming, but so I don't know how to link it back because I forgot why I went off topic. Wasn't I talking about, I don't think it was Funk and Wagnalls. Usually something like Funk and Wagnalls will bring me off. But pointless meanders, superfluous tangents, like, creaky dulcet tones. There, we found our way back. So creaky dulcet tones. And what I'm going to do here is try to take your mind off of whatever keeps you awake and help you fall asleep. You don't need to listen to this podcast. You can only, you could barely listen. You just kind of listen. You could totally listen. Just kind of see how it works for you. Don't try to figure it out, though. Especially the intros, which you've already seen. It's, you say, what is he talking about? And if you're young or you're before the Funk and Wagnalls, if you're not why do they call us Generation X? I'd prefer to be a Funk and Wagnalls generation. So if anybody, it's just a marketing term anyway, I think, can somebody get me the Census Bureau or maybe another country that's more, that uses the metric system? You could rename us the Funk and Wagnalls generation, sponsored by Funk and Wagnalls, making a comeback via creaky dulcet tones. Okay, and I think that, I don't know if that was spread across the United States or worldwide. Let me know if you're a member of Funk, if you're Funk and Wagnalls adjacent. And they say, Scoots, that was actually not the one. And I would say, really? I don't know how many school reports were made possible by that. When I first learned how to, whatever it is, ALA or MBA, whatever Harvard notation thingamajig, my first footnote was a Funk and Wagnalls footnote. Funk and Wagnalls, not sponsoring this podcast, probably because they don't exist anymore. Maybe I'll hear from one of the third-generation Funks, though, or Wagnalls. Here's another Laura Ingalls Wilder. What if the Ingalls and the Wagnalls, if we could have connected them at the time, Laura Wagnalls Ingalls or Laura Ingalls Wagnalls? Though I guess you'd say would it have worked? I don't know. Probably not, but it would be hard to say. Wagnalls, Ignalls is harder to say. Ignalls, Wagnalls is easier. So that's another thing that comes free with these intros is tongue twisters. So you don't need to listen to this podcast. There's also, paradoxically, no pressure to fall asleep. I'm going to be here for about an hour, and I'm here to keep you company as you drift off at your leisure. If you can't sleep, I'm here the whole time for you. So, I just want you to know that I make the show because I've been there. I know how it feels. Also, if you're new structurally, what to expect. A little bit late for the structure, but show starts off with business. And the business is only really 3 to 5 minutes, and that's what keeps the show free for everybody. And maybe it's just sometimes I think people hear that and they think the intro, so there's a few minutes of business and then there's the intro. Those are two separate things. I just got an email about this yesterday, so that's why I'm thinking about it. But the intro is really here for you if you want it, or you could skip it, but it's not an ad or anything. It's part of a lot of listeners' wind down routine. And it's just kind of fun. I mean, when else are you going to hear about my history with Funk and Wagnalls? And you can, maybe we could make it into some sort of slang, like Funk and Wagnalls. It's probably too late to get a hold of the Good Place writing team, but I would love to hear Eleanor say, what in the Funk and Wagnalls is going on? So that's what the intro really is. It's like something a little bit silly and fun, familiar, but ideally like makes you feel welcome, whether you're new or you're coming back for the 10,000th time. So that's the intro. Then tonight will be our episodically modular, serial, like barely serial story, Adventures of Dr. Triangle and Isosceles. And that's just a kind of that's the bedtime story portion. Then there's some thank yous at the end. There is, again, business between the intro and the show. That's just kind of how podcast structure works. And again, that's what enables us to put the podcast out instead of having to have it behind a paywall. And I have everybody that takes that and acts on that stuff to thank for keeping the podcast out there for everybody. So I really do appreciate that. So that's it. The podcast is just a friendly goofing around with a lot of surprises. Even for me, I say, well, that's surprising. It's been about 2 or 3 years since I talked about, who knows what I'll be talking about next. Will it be Strunk and White, or will I be trying to make other jokes? Like famous, famous, are those the publishers? Or I think Strunk and White is that's the author of the Elements of Style. I think this joke, the last time this came up, I did make this joke, but I would think the Elements of Style would be an album by the hip-hop duo Funk and Wagnalls. Maybe Funk and Strunk. That's I think that's just what you say when you're, like when you're listening to Mothership or something, you're saying Funk and Strunk, man, drop some, funk, cause Funkadelic, Funk and Strunkadelic. So anyway, I'm glad you're here. If you're new checking out the show, it is a little bit different. It is strange and goofy, but friendly. I'm here to help, cause I know how it feels. And I really, truly believe you deserve a good night's sleep, and I'd like to help if I can. So give the show a few tries. That's what every regular listener says, like with a 5% variance of people that they liked it right away, and then a much higher variance of people that didn't like it. If it doesn't work for you, you can go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you for some other options too. But yeah, that's it. I'm glad you're here. I work very hard and I yearn and I strive to help you fall asleep. And here's a couple of ways we keep the show going. Hey, are you a Sleep With Me podcast patron, or have you been one in the past? Because we got a really, really exciting announcement. Or if you're on the fence, you've been thinking about it, but you said, well, what's in it for me? Or, you just kind of say, well, I keep putting it off, Scoots. Well, don't put it off any longer, because starting September 15th, you'll start to hear about this. We're going to do, because the patrons, the show reached 800 episodes and over 100 million downloads recently. And we would not have been able to do that as a free podcast without the patrons who support the show. And so we're going to do a time capsule. And if you've ever been a patron from the beginning, whether you signed up and you're no longer a patron or you're just about to become one, you're going to get it to be a part of this time capsule. And if you supported the show by other means, don't worry, you'll hear about other ways to sign up for it. But really, the patrons have carried the show on their backs. I wouldn't have been able to do it, or I would have had to put the podcast as part of some service without the support of the patrons. And the reason people become patrons, they're part of a community that keeps the podcast free for everybody. And I know they feel a lot of pride. You should if you're a patron and you're listening. And so this time capsule is going to be symbolic of all the people that made these 800 episodes possible, that made these hundreds of millions of downloads possible. And if that sounds interesting to you and you want to sign up, just go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. You could still be a part of it. Not only that, you get your own RSS feed with ad-free episodes and story-only episodes starting at $5, and then $10 and up patrons. And those are full episodes. The only thing they're missing is the ads. And then $10 up patrons just get a couple all intro episodes every month. So if you like the all intro episodes, they get an all night episode. They get story-only episodes. You can find out more at sleepwithmepodcast.com/Patron, but you just pay attention because none of this wouldn't have been possible. Because none of this would have been possible without your support. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks for making this podcast possible. All right, hey everybody, it's Scoots here, and it's time for another episode of our ongoing working titled series, The Adventures of Dr. Triangle and Isosceles. And I'll just catch up on this series really quick. You can listen to it in any order. It's a tale of two traveling performers, Dr. Triangle and Isosceles, in a world not like ours, but like not that far in a possible future, in a post-math world where two goddesses are battling for, not math supremacy, because there's one goddess, the goddess of math, and of order, and then there's another god. So it's like a little bit like, you've seen Marvel movies, right? And I guess you could say, well, is Thanos like a demigod or a god or just some superpowered, or you say, well, it's a gemstone, Scoots. And I say, okay, well, then that's probably the wrong analogy. But in a world like ours, and like ours in movies, anything's possible. And in this world, a goddess came and she didn't have the power to remove all math and all math principles from Earth, but she did do enough that it kind of set us back to the Middle Ages, and she's slowly trying to remove all math from human existence. And if you're really swift on the uptake, you'd say, well, that's paradoxical. Could we exist in a world without math? And I'd say, don't worry, that's what our heroes are for. And Sashat, the goddess, she's not just a goddess of math, but for simplicity's sake, she is. All praise your name, all math principles, of course. But Sashat had found that Dr. Triangle and Isosceles, and you might say, well, aren't they the perfect? Well, actually, they were characters. They were doing a traveling math parody show, like a in the post-math world, kind of at the expense of Sashat and math principles to make people feel good about living in a world without math. But who could be more perfect than two traveling performers that are, I wouldn't say they're math skeptics, because we don't really know. We're learning these characters, getting to know them. And I guess that's about it. They're traveling the former United States, I believe, in finding ways to restore math where they can. And you'd say, is this a belief in math or the actual underlying principles of math? And I'd say both, of course. Yeah, it's a sleepy story. Holy cow. You see, we'll take math and make it more interesting, but in a way that still puts me asleep. And I'd say, good job done. That's what I'm doing here. And the narrator is Ada, a mule. And I think that's it. It's episodically modular, meaning it's a procedural, like in a greater world. And when I say that, they go to a town, they try to figure out what the math principle is that's missing and restore it. Come up pretty straightforward, right? Also, we have our world famous, beloved, holy cow, I've never seen, how popular you are on the Reddit for Sleep With Me? It's the beloved, the handsome, the charismatic, the talented, and the person that just makes me feel warm and smiley, Antonio Banderas. Thank you. I like how my friend, we rolled our thank yous into one another. Thank you. There's the ladies, there's the gentlemen, there's the boys, the girls, the friends beyond the binary. It's time for another episode. My friend, I want to say Nuns in Space. I think it's just, it's time for another episode of The Adventures of. I think I need to set that up in a different way. Are you ready? Are you principled? I'll work on it next week, my friend. The Adventures of Dr. Triangle and Isosceles. Yeah. Calculation. Yeah. Thanks, Antonio. You can go ahead. Now we have our thing where we lie in bed and, you listen to the podcast with your, shoes off on top of the comforter and with a hairnet on. That's the new thing because, it's confusing for me to find it. You see, did my imagination put that hair there? Oh, no, Antonio's hair, as I say, there's no other. How'd this hair get in my bed? Was it stuck to my head from earlier today? Because it's certainly not mine. And your hair, it's long and luxurious. So that's why we're using a hairnet to keep my hopes in the world of reality. But I mean, a lot of people would say, you got Antonio Banderas in your bed, Scoots. What could you be hoping for more? And I say, well, it's great on a business side. And then we have, thanks to our good friend, one of the great podcast producers out there, Julie Shapiro, recommended color Sudoku. So Antonio and I are going to be, we're sitting down to a game of color Sudoku soon. Oh, my friend, I'm a huge Ear Hustle fan, my friend. I know you are, Antonio. We talk about those things off the mic, because we do have to have a person, but we do like listening to that. And I think it's the game and podcast listening may go together. So we'll be trying that later. Thank you. Okay, why don't you get in my bed? Why don't you go get in my bed then? It's time for Adventures of Dr. Triangle and Isosceles. Hello, everyone. This is Ada the Mule. You may or may not know me. I am a mule, or, but you could put, you could figure it out. And I'm the mule that pulls the wagon, that holds the stage, and that, personal property and the professional property of Isosceles and Dr. Triangle. And I also took over narration role on this story because I'm there. I'm observing it all. I'm Ada the Mule. And this one, we're actually traveling. We've just left the suburbs of a town. And actually, I've been listening into them. It feels like Dr. Triangle and Isosceles are just about to talk about something somewhat interesting. Because I think their conversation, I won't even have to set it up. But if I do feel the need, I will do it later. Here you go. So was that strange for you at all? I wonder. It's just a look on your face. You mean when the cat ran by? No. We saw the high school you went to, and then we were in your childhood home. We slept in your childhood home for a few days, because we thought that storm was going to pass. Well, no, it's not my childhood home. No, it's just my high school home. It's a little different. I just lived there when I was in high school, not my childhood home. It was it was only for 3 years of high school, not my freshman year. Okay, but I just mean, or is everything okay? I guess that's what I'm saying. What do you mean? Well, this is the first time we've spoken in 5 days. I think it's 5 days. I guess that means I'm on the upswing. Yeah, I just needed to rest. Right, you slept for 3 days. Or you were lying in that bed for 3 days. That was I was childhood bed, your high school hood bed. It was yeah. I was there, and the past is behind me now. So I guess I was there to put the past behind me. And I didn't think we didn't come across, I know we have whatever you want to call it, a professional friendship, and we're partners, but in a professional but right. We all keep things to ourselves. I understand. No, I just wanted to check in just because your face, it's like your eyes are burrowing into something that's like millions of miles away. I don't know. Well, thanks for indulging me. I'm just, it's memories. So what memories were you leaving behind? Look, that's kind of more my own business, I feel like. Okay, well, no, I'm just here to listen. It's not like I have an agenda other than figuring out these, you think we're here for a reason, right? We told Ada to go, that's our new thing. It's just follow the mule. And we ended up here, and this town, that your high school hood was on the whole, edge of suburbs. There's these two weird storms on either side of the town. I don't know, they're more like vortices or something. It was just high school stuff I was leaving behind, I guess. You're right, that's the end of childhood. It's not an easy time. When was the last time you were here? A long time ago, when that period of my, it was a while. It's strange too, because it's strange how time passes, and it was, right heading towards the decline, but it was still, the digital golden age or whatever they're going to call it. I don't know if it was the pre-decline, I prefer. That's, so, yeah, I guess, we left a lot behind anyway, so it's an extra thing, it's like the regular pre-decline people's high school stuff, and then, you know what I mean? I guess I do, but, I guess I'm even saying, leaving behind the idea that is, does this have to do with, why you kind of seem so... What's that you prefer the company of you? I think we should start thinking about what the show is going to be tonight and how we're going to prepare. Then you talking about that. Okay, we're just gonna ask a couple more questions. I just just helps me understand. Is this is that preferring the company of yourself just about, is it in general, or was it a romantic part that you were leaving behind? Or was it something else, because you're closed, you're closed off, we don't have to debate that. Why does it matter? It's gone, we've moved away from the suburbs, we're headed into the city, and we have work to do. And part of that period we were there at the house was, I put it was part of me leaving that behind, yeah. Right, but you seem like it's simple. Is it really that simple to you, like flicking a switch? That could be analog or digital, I guess. I guess it is that simple for me. Because connection, because we've worked together a while now, and, being on the road, it makes it tough to have long-term relationships, and, I've tried some, it would be, letters and things, but, you've been, kind of independent, I'd say, the whole time, never anything more, you've been 100% independent, right. That's what I prefer. Right. It's a simple thing. Uncomplicated, straightforward, and it keeps me here. I was working on my plan. Now we've met, now we've gotten roped into this, which will help me get to my plan. And so, yeah, it's pretty sure it's simple and straightforward. Okay, well, I have a couple ideas for tonight's show. I mean, here's the thing, like, I'm not saying, you're a unique individual, but I don't think that dissuades people from possibly connecting with you. You think like you're almost interesting, you know, like you're designed in an interesting way. Okay, well, thanks. I don't know if that was an attempt to be a compliment, but I do know what you're talking about, and or like so. Yeah, back then it was like a reality, and I adjusted to it, and. Now I've like, this is my, wow, man. I mean, I'm talking more about your person. I mean, my personality is not, I'm just saying your behavior is, as far as the theater and parody, I mean, you're great at writing. You're much better at coming up with jokes around math than me because you understand it. We think much differently. So, I mean, I just didn't know, like, was it someone you, like, like, is there anyone, like, when we've been out on the road, there isn't any times you're like, well, I kind of like that person, and you even play it out, like, what would happen? And no, because I don't really need to know what would happen or what's possible. I mean, if you really want to get into it, like, reality is, I'm not sure, like, I'd probably either, it would become unsimple, right? I would either jump into it in a full bore. That's what happened. That's what I was leaving behind, okay? And no matter how, like, so I'd jump in or pull, say, get in my boat, or I'd get in their boat without checking the weather, without checking supplies, and then I'd be, at some point I would, like, I'd be at sea, you know what I mean? Like, no, I think you do know what I mean. Like, it's just easier. Like, I don't know why we keep talking through this. Okay, so it's kind of like you're like, hey, you're taking care of yourself by being by yourself. That's what you're kind of saying, and I guess that makes sense to me. Yeah. I mean, you do get me in a way that, yeah, that's it. I'm glad you're seeing it in a neutral way. I mean, right now I'm seeing it more like for tonight's show, I'm just thinking if we could lean into this, because I think we could really make something of this. And like, just more as parody, just like with the math stuff. What do you mean? Okay, we'll see. So we got to get to this. Okay, we're like, Ada's already here at the town square. Good afternoon. Good. We're going to be doing our show this evening. Very exciting. We're going to be doing a few nights of experimental theater. We'll see you folks all tonight. Wow, those two vortices or vortices are really, is that a storm? Can a storm be a vortices, or is that just a fancy word? Well, they're kind of swirling. I mean, do we know there's storms? I mean, there's probably some sort of anomaly. Yeah, but yeah, we should find out more about those at this, like, with the show. What you're saying is part of the mission, we should lean into me. All right, we'll gather information. Like, I'm thinking of a play where I kind of have an idea for a story, but it's kind of synchronicity. Like, you would be the central character, and we'll be doing our jobs, and you could just roll with it. And it'll just be, because it's theater, you could just roll with it. It's a chance for you to experiment where you are right now. I mean... And, you know, totally within the like, if you start to not like it, we could just change the narrative, because it's, I mean, we'll be doing audience members, so it won't be 100% in our thing, but you could just, you could say, hey, Ada, and then I'll know, and Ada will know that it's time to change things up, okay? What do you, I guess, like, you meaning, like, you're gonna, like, fix me up with, yeah, I mean, some sort of connection thing, with, the audience members, in a story sense, what do you think? I don't know, I guess it's like, I'm both drawn in and repulsed by the idea, if I'm being serious. But I think it would work for getting information and, taking the town's temperature. So I guess, yeah. Well, that's the spirit. Let's get ready for the show. Hey, it's Ada here. Hey, Ada is the secret thing, and they're getting ready for the show. And I just wanted to kind of be here in depth a little bit more. Is that there's these two swirling gray clouds, and not super where you'd be on hackles, and all the people who kind of seem to not care, but really dominating in the sky like that. If you were in the pre-decline world, when you had full math, and you saw something like that, you'd say, is that portent, is there a big storm coming? And out on the suburbs, there was a bit of a storm, rain and showers and wind. Nothing that was, it's just out of sorts, but no one seems to care. And as I've been listening, that these two swirling storms have been growing, and that they've been there for years. And so, I guess we will see how it goes. Oh, and the reason this town is a big crossroads for travel on what is left of the easy passable roads in the United States, north, south, and east and west. It sits not in the exact middle, but in the crossroads and near some passes where you'd stop. So the idea that these swirling things could be a major inconvenience as we try to give math a foothold here so that it can spread. Oh, Dr. Triangle is on stage, kind of just sitting there, and Isosceles is going out and introducing the show, which, they say, hello, everyone, that kind of thing. And the show's getting ready to start, so I'll turn you over there. And thank you. So thank you again, everyone. And tonight we're telling the tale of a new tale, a very new story we're doing here. The tale of the lonely magnet. What? Yes, a lonely magnet sitting there. Mags, the lonely magnet. This is real subtle. And, yes, like, likes to talk, they're lonely mags, sad, the lonely magnets. Some of you may not be familiar with, magnet. Now, magnet in, 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to need you to go backstage, get the hockey puck outfit, and come back on stage, please. What do you, no. Yeah, that's a lot of magnet. We need to show, how about a round of applause for our performer tonight, Dr. Triangle, who will return to the stage as the lonely magnet in just a second. Now, a lot of you may be familiar, some of you may not be, because we don't mind knowledge of Isosceles do declare. A magnet could come in a disc form or other forms, a round, flat disc. If only I could find something, just like this giant round disc here. And it would be attracted to metal. And one day, many years ago, the magnet lived a world where it was attracted to metal and, did magnet things and worked in the magnet stuff. And then the magnet lied down and took a deep, long sleep. So long did Magnet lie down. I know it'll be hard to get back up, but I'll help you. With a grouchy furrowed brow, Magnet lied down and went to sleep. And Mags the Magnet. And Mags dreamed of a world where Mags had a life being pushed and pulled and pushing and pulling, of where it didn't have to push or pull any longer. And when Mags awoke, Mags heard a twinkling sound, just like this wind chime I'm ringing here. Twinkly, twinkly, twinkle. And Mags awoke in a world of wood. A wood world. That's the world we're in right now. Well, an audience and people full of trees. Made only from wood, soft wood, hardwood. Fresh wood, rotten wood, smooth and rough. It was a wood world. And, Mags started to, check out the world, and Mags did not feel any push and did not feel any pull. And then Mags said, huh. And Mags just started to spend time just being Mags, not thinking about the fact that Mags was a magnet. Is this going anywhere? Yes, it is. And Mags, really started to said, but I'm not wood. And Mags got uncomfortable meeting pieces of wood. I mean, Mags had tried. Yeah, that's a good part of the story. But Mags didn't feel like wood. And Mags put Mags's head down and was sad. And then one day, a goddess came. Let me get a mop head. Hold on. The kids love it when I put mop heads. Yes, this is my hair. One day, a goddess named Boggy came. And she heard Mags crying and said, "Oh, what's wrong, my round friend, flat and round and disc-like? What seems to be the matter?" "Oh, well, I don't know. I've fallen asleep and I was a lonely magnet, and now I've woken up in a world of wood. And I'm not wood, and I'm not sure I remember what it means to be a magnet either. Who are you?" "Oh, I'm the goddess Boggy, the goddess of the wood world, the great bog where all wood would be hatched from, if it would be hatched from a wooden womb of boggies." "Oh, thank you, Boggy. So, yes, Boggy, I could use your help or guidance because I have no idea what's happening. Plus, I'm in this strange area and there's a swirling in the sky. And I'm actually more interested in what that is and how it's impacting the wood world than anything else." "Ah, yes, my child, it is so good to hear your thoughts. Yes, I'm Boggy. Did I get your name and forgot it?" "Yeah, I'm Mags, the magnet." "Oh, yes. Well, Boggy's seen many things, and Boggy knows that the journey to solutions runs through your heart. We just need to find yours, little Mags. So have a seat, and I will call upon." I look out at this audience of trees, and I know I can see myself in many of you because of the beauty I see shining from within. And I wonder if there's any trees, that have wondered, that maybe feel a draw, that are in a growth situation where they're ready to meet a magnet and see if they're drawn in. And if you need Boggy to explain it to you more clearly, would you date a magnet, and are you available to date a magnet? Would you raise your hand as a volunteer? Okay, so, yes, hello, Hey, it's Ada here. I just wanted to interrupt a little because this part of the play went on for about 2 more hours that evening. And it was basically like I could just give you a shorter version and much more interesting, because Isosceles was experimenting with the story and would bring people on stage. Eventually, they set up a table like it was a pretend restaurant, and Boggy pretended to be the waitress as well as the narrator of the story and the matchmaker. And it was a series of first dates with mags and people, but Boggy kept kind of making it just be yourselves in a quiet thing off to not the audience can hear. Just get to know each other just like this is a real date. I want you to imagine that. And it was a bit of I mean, this is a post, so this wasn't totally uninteresting because Isosceles was pretty good at kind of spurring it on. And it did start to feel like, for the audience at least, that they were watching these dates, not always particularly interesting, but with Boggy's slapstick when needed. But it did also feel like first dates, which I think we'll get a bit broader message soon. But, they were, especially for Dr. Triangle, who hadn't been on any dates in a while. And it was just, a lot of awkward conversation having to be spurred on by Boggy and a little bit of overthinking on both sides. Now, the audience for the most part was into it and even got the idea that it's like, oh, this is kind of like a matchmaking for real. Yeah, but it was, again, the vibe that Dr. Triangle was putting off was a little bit neutral to not comfortable, so it wasn't like any matches were made. And now they're kind of now it's the next day. They're going to do another show, I guess. So I'll just I see why you're not pleased, but could you just let me explain a little something about this? Well, it's just, no, I don't think there's a need to go on. I mean, we can go on for the theater portion, but I think it was clear that if that was for me as a person, that didn't really go well, because it was none of those dates would have, even if those were real dates, they didn't. Right, but here's the thing: new first dates don't go well. Yeah, they do. Right, in commercials they do, and movies, but they're usually it's not the different than testing the water or something. Sure, there's conceptually that there's going to be but if you're waiting for the best first date, it is going to be far in the past or far in the future. Oh. Right, like first dates are much more gray. I keep kind of trying to push you in that direction. The first dates are, but I think I did have a couple of people that came to me after the show, and so I'm going to have you have pre-show dinners with these two guests. I guess we refer to them as. And then we'll do one final show with whichever date I feel like works out best for the drama portion. But remember on these 2 dates that you just have to be yourself, and it doesn't have to go great. It just has to, I don't want to say how you're seeing things, but it's like I realize that we're in this, we're trying to. Right. Also, can we figure out the swirling stuff? No, we'll get to that. But that, it's not all one thing or all the other thing. You're really seeing this dating stuff in a very switch-based context. And in my experience, I get on a lot of people's nerves initially. Then they kind of like me, or they kind of like me, then I get on their nerves. And if I worried about one or the other, I would like. And here's the other thing I've been thinking a lot about. This is your plan, right? You want to be, you want it to just be Dr. Triangle and Dr. Triangle only, right? And you've been building towards that. And, you have everything set up. You have a place to go that you won't tell me where it is. You have a secondary backup place to go. And a third backup place with food and adult beverages. And you're just going to go there. And I think about, what if that's not what you want? I am your friend. Wouldn't you want a family, like a friend there? Or family there, or a friend, and someone for you, like a companion. Well, which one would it be? Well, it could be both, or it could be like a companion, a romantic companion, and a friend, like in a community, just a friend, so like multiple people to eat all my supplies and, have the space that I've kind of set aside for myself. Right, more as a choice though, more as like an option to be open for. I just think about that with you. Anyway, I'm going to get these dates set up and, believe me, I'm here, working on our plan too. So don't worry, everything's going to come to light. Okay, so Ada here. So, so Dr. Triangle had done some pre-interviews and it set up a second round of dates. And I guess I'll just tell you right now, both of the dates, the first date was very clearly, but not to Dr. Triangle, working for the forces of anti-math. A plant, we'll say, and taking kind of a really encouraging Dr. Triangle's all or nothing views and saying, well, why would you work for someone that, does it like is saying work for me or, the world loses math? It really seems extreme. And Dr. Triangle said, okay, I'm not sure about this date. Then the second date, which again, I think it's pretty obvious, or maybe it was working together, kind of said, was a little bit softer sell, like, hey, tell me what you dream about, Dr. Triangle. And Dr. Triangle started to kind of let their guard down and talked about dreams that Isosceles was talking about of being on their own, having a place set aside. And again, the state has said, well, what if we spent time together? But you didn't have to worry about that. Like if you go on your journey, maybe we could keep in touch. Or maybe you could stay here, but, then go off on your own. And Dr. Triangle was kind of taken aback. And then the date kind of said, well, what if you, why do you have to choose? So your goddess that you work for, or your boss, is making you choose between doing all this work or going to do what you want to do? What would you do if you didn't have to choose one of those choices, or if there was another choice? And Dr. Triangle said, interesting, I don't know. And then the date said, well, what if, would you trust a person that said, well, why, I don't care what you choose. I'd support you either way. And Dr. Triangle said, yeah, that's, and I said, well, what if you could get what you wanted? What if someone was there to help you get what you wanted instead of what they wanted? The whoever the other people with the agendas are, Isosceles, Sachat, And now Isosceles was watching this whole thing now with audio and saw, okay, this is it. So then they moved into the stage show. You know, after some more talk about it, this all seems like great common sense. And Isosceles made a big, to-do for the audience of, oh, this is this is a game we're going to play. And it's a really exciting thing, and it's called a newly date feud. And Isosceles went through for everyone there, because some people were from the pre-decline and some people were from the post-decline. So some people were familiar with the shows, game shows, the Family Feud or the dating game, newlywed game type shows, and said this is a combination of both of those, and set up the rules, which is basically, but it was Dr. Triangle versus Dr. Triangle State, who is just from the tree world. I guess, also Isosceles is dressed as Boggy. So really deep into a convoluted story here. So then, I'll just turn. Okay, so it's the two of you, whoever buzzes in first, answer this question on the big board. We surveyed 100 residents of this town with this question. The best things in life are, yes. What's your answer? Paid in full. Nope, sorry, paid in full is not on the board. Dr. Triangle, do you have an answer? Yes, best things in life are... Yes, best things in life are free. Number one answer on the board. Dr. Triangle, you're going to play or pass? I'll play. Okay, so the rules work. You're going to have to guess and fill out the rest of the board. I don't know if I exactly know the rules. Okay, well, you'll just figure it out. It's fine. We're looking for, there's 3 more answers on the board. We surveyed 100 people. The best things in life are, Dr. Triangle, friends and family. I think people here would, number 2 answer, friends and family. Very good job. We would have taken friends or family either. Okay, Dr. Triangle, very good. 2 more answers on the board. We surveyed 100 residents to answer this statement, complete this statement. The best things in life are... or is love or loving-related activities. It was something I think people here would answer. Correct. That's the number 4 answer on the board. So we have 1 more answer on the board. Let's see. 9 people answered this way, if my math is correct. The best thing in life, things in life are, what's your answer, Dr. Triangle? Being alone. That's an X, I'm sorry. Okay, what happens next? Okay, it's pretty easy now. Your competitor over here, we are from the world of trees. Hello. Trees, multiforms. Now, instead of stealing by guessing the last answer on the board, because this is newly date feud, you have to guess the answer Dr. Triangle gave to this question. And then you'll capture all of the love points that Dr. Triangle's accumulated. So we asked Dr. Triangle to answer this question. The best things in life could I ask a rules-based question? Sure, you may. Could it be one of the answers already on the board? Yes, it could be. That's not a hint, though. Okay. The best things in life are savored alone, would be how Dr. Triangle would answer that question. Nope, I'm sorry. The answer Dr. Triangle gave to the question, the best things in life are a mystery to me, is how Dr. Triangle. So, Dr. Triangle, you get 91 points. Oh, wow, you seem, I'm pleased that you didn't win those 91 points, and also the storms seem to be getting worse. That's interesting. Okay, well, we asked 100 people to complete a phrase using this word. A little bit different. We asked 100 people to complete a phrase using this word. Are you ready for the word? Yes. Nothing. Okay, buzz. Nothing plus nothing is nothing. Yes, that is the number one answer. Would you like to play or pass? I'll play. Okay, we asked 100 people to complete a phrase using this word, nothing. There's 3 more answers on the board. What do you have to say? Nothing else matters. That's correct. That's the number 4 answer. Okay. Oh, wow. It is really getting windy here with these storms up there. We asked 100 people to complete the phrase using this word, nothing. Nothing, I feel nothing. Yes, correct. Dr. Triangle, these storms are pretty bad. We should be ready to steal at any time, Dr. Triangle. Okay, we asked 100 people to complete this sentence using the word nothing. What do you have to say? Nothing is the absence of something. Oh, I'm sorry. No one answered that way. Dr. Triangle, we're going to need you to guess your date's answer to the question. We asked you to we asked your date here from the world of trees, to complete a question, a sentence, using the term nothing. Dr. Triangle, this would be for the wind, because the wind is really picking up and we're going to have to close down everything. Complete a phrase using the word nothing. Okay, well, I'm struck by something you said. The absence of nothing is not the, it's like, oh, no. Oh, Dr. Triangle, I got to ask you, no. I think we need to take this show in a different direction. Something and not nothing. Okay, but Dr. Triangle, I need you to guess your date's answer to the question. Well, I think I've got an answer because I think I've been distracted this whole time we've been in this town. And I didn't realize that this swirling was going on, trying to get my attention the whole time. And I guess if I would have answered, I would have said making love out of nothing at all. That's how I answered the question. But that was a lyric from a song I used to sing in my high school bedroom. But that has started to make me think about math and math principles, and something I've learned while I'm here. I've learned from you, Bagina. Okay, thank you. You could go now. You could leave the stage now. Everyone, some applause for our date. Oh, no, you're wait a second. Your date is turning into a storm. Okay, Dr. Triangle, we're in a bit of a pickle here. Here's the thing that that's the forces of anti-math. That's why my date turned into a storm. And and then there's my other date. The first date from this evening, it just turned into the other storm. So both of these storms on either side of the town, gray and swirling, one counterclockwise, one clockwise, I noticed. I guess I got to keep my speech short, but I've learned the ways of math aren't always hard numbers, aren't always all or nothing, aren't always as simple as ones and zeros. And that math isn't all just hard and fast rules. Someone taught me that. They were trying to teach me about the ways of love. And really, they taught me about the ways of math. Okay, Dr. Triangle, pick it up because We got to figure out what principle is missing so we can stop these storms are combining into one. Yeah, that made me think of so I was thinking about what math principle could be missing in this town. And I was so distracted and so thinking about my own situation that I was within something that date that became a vortex said, made me think about negative exponents and zero exponents. Okay, I don't know. Okay, so negative exponents and zero exponents would be like x to the 0 power. But x isn't a number. X, I don't understand. Okay, so 3 to the first power would be 3, right? 3 to the first power is 3. Okay. 3 to the second power is 6. And 3 to the third power is 9. Correct. And 3 to the negative 1 is 1/3. Okay, 3 to the negative first power is 1/3. Okay, I understand those concepts. But 3 to the 0 power is 1. Okay, that makes sense because minus 3. Okay, I think I understand. 3 to the first power is 3, but 3 to the 0 power is 1. Okay, I kind of understand, but I don't. I understand the pattern. Exactly. The pattern relies on the fact that 0 to the 0 power is defined to be 1. Okay, I don't understand. Is this going to get us out of this situation? Well, okay, so 0 to the 0 power, when it equals 1, it makes all of those negative and positive exponents work. And we're talking about monomials, we could get into reciprocals, like flipping fractions to solve, and that's one of the, rules for a negative exponent. I don't get anything you're saying. Okay, so a to the negative n is like a reciprocal of a to the negative nth power is a reciprocal of a to the nth power. But any number except for 0 to the 0 power is equal to 1. Yeah, but the 0 power, it's a 0 power rule. So 0 to the 0 power is actually a gray area. It's a simple gray area in math. Like some say it's undefined, some say it's 1, and some say it's 0. And in the case we say it's 1, it's there's arguments to be made in its favor, but it's also a rule when you define it that way. That just makes the other formulas and numbers work. But it's still a gray area. Like it makes sense and doesn't make sense at the same time. Okay, I trust you. Do you have a charm on your charm bracelet that you could stop these storms that are about to... I think your childhood, your high school home just got... oh, yeah, that's great. Okay, yeah, I do have this one. It's a heart charm. And I know that part of this journey today, these past few days, has been me learning more about attraction and how little I understand about how it's not hard or fast and how first dates don't always go good. They're like big gray areas. And relating to other people is like that too. And 0 to the 0 power, the 0 power rule. It also is a shot, if you can hear me, restore the gray areas of math to this crossroads, to this area. Take away the power that would make it an all or nothing place, and help us in your name to restore math to this world. It's a shot we call upon you as I hold this heart charm in my hand, to restore the fact that someone would disagree with me that 0 to the 0 power equals 1, and they would say it equals 0. Or they would say it's undefined, and it would just give me a boggling look. Oh, the storms are gone. Great job, Triangle. Thank you. I'm exhausted. I'm going to, You don't want to try to, no. Like, thank the audience on my behalf. I'm going to go lie down. And I'm going to spend some time alone because I want to lie down and spend some time alone because that's what I want right now. It totally makes sense. Actually, could I be alone near you? Because I'm pretty, as soon as I excuse the audience, I'm going to lie down. I'm just going to sleep anyway. Yeah, you could be, if you respect my space, I can respect yours. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending tonight's show. Great news, both those storms are gone. That's the power of math slowly being restored. I know not all of you are math believers, but we're here. It was an interesting experiment in theater, too. Thanks. The audience already left during that part. Okay, well, those of you that are still listening, good night. I want to thank everybody that became a patron recently. Jim, Amy, and Rachel, thank you. Thanks, and good night. Cherish, Ty, and Joey, thank you. Thanks, and good night. Catherine, Caitlin, and Brett, thanks, and good night. Iante, Joshua, and Alex, thanks, and good night. Donna, Hot Bagels, and Allison, thank you. Thanks, and good night. Gwen, Thomas, and Brenna, thanks, and good night. Kelly, Jeff, and Julia, thank you, thanks, and good night. Elise, Amber, and Christopher, thank you, thanks, and good night. Tano, Killian, and Ben, thank you, thanks, and good night. Tim, Michelle, and Rachel, thank you, thanks, and good night. Chrissy, Kelly, and Tashana, thank you, thanks, and good night. Deborah, Claire, and Tasmin, thanks, and good night. Penny, Caleb, and Aaron, thank you, thanks, and good night. Carsey, Andres, and Amy, thank you, thanks, and good night. Jennifer, Teresa, and Malik, thanks, and good night. Hannah and Tyler, thanks, and good night. And Hannah, Deborah, and Rick, thank you, thanks, and good night. So thanks everybody for supporting the show. Sleep With Me really exists as a free podcast because of the people that support the show on Patreon and support our sponsors. It really is an act of like self-care and caring of others. So I really, really do appreciate it. I couldn't do the show without that help. But we also grow for people to support the show in free ways too, like spreading the word. That's how new people discover the show. And I also greatly, greatly appreciate that. So thank you. We're a proud member of Night Vale Presents. You can check out one of the newest Night Vale Presents shows. Start with this. If you're looking to start a creative project, get one off the ground, or keep going, start with this. The creators of Welcome to Night Vale, Joseph Fink and Jeffrey Craner, talk about the creative process, talk about getting started. They give you a couple of short assignments, something to consume, something to create. And it really is part of my process, too. It's just doing the work a little bit at a time. But where do you begin? You start with this. So check it out. Start with this in your podcast app of choice or at nightvalpresents.com. We're also a member of PRX. You can see everything they're doing over at prx.org. And there's plenty of other episodes ready to go. If you need them, I'm here. So let me tuck your feet in there. Oh, Lucy. Okay. Yeah. Just tell me how you. Okay. Got you. Good night.